You're watching a production of South Dakota Public Broadcasting.
American entrepreneur and automobile engineer Henry Ford once said, "You can't build a reputation on what you're going to do." Hi and welcome to Dakota Life. I'm Larry Rohr. South Dakotans know a thing or two about ingenuity. And today, we're going to meet some of the people that capture that spirit. Well, South Dakotans have a long history of dedicated military service. As a matter of fact, during World War II, more than 68,000 South Dakota men and women served in the armed forces. Richard Hedden, a Rapid City native, was one of those brave young men. And during his tour in Europe, it was his ingenuity that helped him through many perilous situations. Well, Richard rose to that challenge, and recently he received France's version of the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Come on, baby. Yeah, I know you're Daddy's little sweetheart. Yes, you are. These birds like a little light handling.
Seeing the sweet way this man talks to his bird, you'd never imagine the death and destruction he not only witnessed, but participated in.
This is D-Day.
I got hit in those three fingers. I still carry a piece of shrapnel in there. Both knees, this leg from the knee down, I almost lost that. Tore the shoulder almost completely off.
Richard Hedden was an infantryman in the 29th Division, one of the first 3 divisions leading the initial assaults on Normandy.
Our orders were to take no prisoners, no matter what, because there was no place to hold them and no interrogators there. And we didn't.
He volunteered for the draft at 19.
I didn't like what I was being told, what I read, and what I heard was going on over there. What we did, somebody had to do it. Anyway, you look like a war is a damn dirty business. And my training, I was taught a real big bag full of dirty tricks. Some I've forgotten. And I think about some of the rest of it that's still with me.
60 years later, his service has not been forgotten. Mr. Hedden recently received the highest honor the French government can bestow for his efforts on the front lines. The close calls he had are countless.
Shrapnel flying all over. When we got up to move, way back under, there was a piece of shrapnel about that big. It almost stopped me from being a father. Coming that close. We were going to take out a big gun that the Germans were using on our troops, and as I think back, it had to be a sniper as well, and I lost most of my buddies during that little foray right there. There were screams for help. I went through the door of fire, and it took 3 people out. One happened to be the local mayor. Another was a woman I presumed was his wife. I don't know. Didn't know then. Another was a very seriously wounded young German soldier.
Dozens of medals symbolize his heroic deeds.
This one is the Purple Heart.
But the French Cross of War is an honor Mr. Hedden had been hoping for decades.
I've tried for 60 years to get that medal from the U.S. government, but I just come to find out that I've been barking up the wrong tree. Should have gone through the French government.
That's exactly what his daughter Laurel Emerson did, spending nearly 2 years on the computer and phone.
I was doing research on it. I was trying to get a hold of his military records. It was just a stroke of luck, and I got onto the right website and the right email address, and I started corresponding with the French government. I grew up with him, you know, and he'd be moaning and groaning and yelling in his sleep, and it's like, And I knew pretty much, you know, not to ask him too many questions. But when I was doing the research for this, you know, I had to ask him certain questions.
A specific experience earned him the medal.
We suddenly had orders to silence a machine gun nest. We had to go over the top and across 100 yards of an open field. No place to hide or anything, and when the firing had stopped, there was only 2 of us left. I lost 48 men in my outfit. As far as I know, they're still there.
Laurel surprised her father with the medal at a Shriner meeting, arranging for the National Guard to present it.
Attention to orders. Greetings from the Republic of France.
He was very shocked.
Secretary of Defense.
I was in absolute tears most of the time. I was just so proud of him.
Here's an opportunity for us in South Dakota, as well as, you know, throughout other communities in our country, to recognize those folks that did step up, and I have everything I have today because of them.
Looking back on his involvement in the war, Mr. Hedden says it was just something he and our nation had to do.
I'm quoting someone else. In order to ensure peace, you must be able to go to war. And if you're a family person and you have children and they act up, you get out the wooden spoon. There is no other way than to go to war to punish another nation. And any way you look at it, it's a dirty business that has to be done.
Besides his medals, something even more precious to him came out of his experience abroad.
If it wasn't for the war, we would not have met.
Private First Class Hedden met Bernice Bailey, an English girl and welder for the war effort, at a dance.
All of a sudden I noticed there was a young lady started walking towards me and walked right up, stood in front of me and asked me if I wanted to dance. Exactly 3 months from that day, we were standing side by side in a church saying our wedding vows. I guess we just clicked, and it lasted 60 years. I lost her 2.5 years ago to Alzheimer's. That girl was my world. We had 4 beautiful children. One we lost when I was a baby, just 18 months old.
They also helped raise nearly 40 foster children.
Even though he was really busy, he always had time for me.
Mr. Hedden spent most of his life working for Black Hills Power and Light. He also served in law enforcement as an officer and volunteer for many years.
Well, about 2 or 3 years ago, and I just decided I'd had enough. I was getting tired and getting a little older, and I just wanted to sit back and kind of let the world go by, let somebody else handle it. I did what I could. I hope it was enough, but that was it.
It appears the former soldier's commitment to protecting the public endured. Mr. Hedden has a message for younger generations serving in current world conflicts.
Individually, just keep your head down and don't try to be a hero. Just do your job and trust in God and come back home safe.
To learn more about South Dakota's involvement in World War II, visit us on the web. Well, that's it for this edition of Dakota Life. If you know someone or something that you think would make a good topic for a future program, drop us a line. You can give us a call or you can send an email. And don't forget to stop by our website where you'll find archived audio and video from all of our past Dakota Life stories. For South Dakota Public Broadcasting, until next time,